Last year's celebrations of International Jazz Day saw talks, seminars and concerts all around the country, and one of the major initiatives to have come out of those celebrations was a Youth for Youth Jazz initiative. Now it's titled It Has to Be Jazz and sees a group of musicians who've never even met before gathering in a studio to jam and record together for the very first time. A total of 6 albums and 2 books have come out of this very initiative, and to tell us more about it, we're joined by the founder and project manager, Tshepo Maseko. Very good morning to you and welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning.
It has to be jazz.
Can't be anything
Why?
else. It can't be anything else. It's just a feeling, and it was just a great initiative because jazz has always been something that brings people together, and it was just an easy way to get all these young guys to just rock up at a studio and they vibe. Like literally they meet for the first time, 15 minutes later, hey guys, I'm feeling this G chord, let's just see what happens with this one, and then we take it from there. It
must be a big project though, because getting all these different jazz artists into one place, the logistics behind it, the recording of the albums, the publishing of 2 books.
Yes.
How massive has it been? So
far, we started the project in September last year. So for 7 months, we've done everything up to date. So the 6 albums, the 2 books. It's been a lot of hard work, a lot of sleepless nights. But the reason why we do it, for me, is already fuel enough to keep going. In terms of like the logistics and all that kind of stuff, it's interesting. it's interesting to say the least. But I'm learning a lot as a young business owner, and growing a lot with the artists that I do work with.
And it's 6 albums,
yes,
not from one group.
No.
6 different groups under the It Has to Be Jazz umbrella.
That is correct.
How have the industry received these albums?
So far it's been received very well actually. The amount of feedback that we get and the reviews that we do get are very enlightening. It's very refreshing. A lot of stuff that has been said is like, we've been waiting for something like this, some new stuff, because when we were doing the market research, we saw that people always go back to the same stuff, and they were like yearning for the
tried and tested.
You see what I mean? So now that we're coming out with the new material frequently, it's been a refreshing kind of refreshing aspect of jazz.
So, but honestly, I look at you, the hair, the styling. I would never have guessed that you were a jazz artist or even remotely interested in jazz. How do you think young people today relate to jazz?
Well, because of this initiative, I think they relate quite easily because, like I said at the start, jazz has always been a feeling. And in our time and age,
describe that feeling.
It's very difficult to describe. It's like, if I was to put it, have you ever craved something for so long? I'll just say a donut, for instance. Have you ever,
I know all about that.
I crave donuts sometimes. If you ever craved a donut for like the longest time, and then you finally have that donut, that satisfying feeling of that warm, that
warm fuzzy feeling inside, that just moves you.
Exactly, and it's even more impressive because everything that we do record is literally on the spot. We've been practicing for 6 months, there's no nothing. So it's a feeding of energy, and energy doesn't lie. If it feels good, it feels good.
Speaking of that energy, what's been the feedback to you from the artists themselves?
I always do my best to look after my artists.
Yes.
For instance, I make sure I pay them to come to studio. So when they come to studio, they're paid. When we do our events, I pay them to perform. I look for as many opportunities as possible to promote them. So I do my best as a project manager to look after them. If they're ever in a situation where they need assistance in terms of music, I do my best because I do have a music industry background in terms of like sound engineering, artist management and all that kind of stuff. So I always do my best to look after my artists.
Do they ever come back to you and say, yeah, I mean, we jammed today, but we kind of don't feel this. We don't feel that artist or that artist. Is it quite a difficult process having them as strangers to gel? Or does the music just take over and just sets everybody in a different mood and it just works out?
Well, it is interesting because artists are, it's a good thing. They are sensitive people by nature. So because they are sensitive people, from my point of view, when I do communicate with these artists, I always try to portray a positive message and give a positive energy so when people get there. And more often than not, everyone is always excited to be in this because they're like, oh, who am I playing with? Oh, what's going to happen? You know, that energy of the excitement of the unknown is actually pretty high when it comes to situations like this. And like today, for instance, we're having our event for International Jazz Day. The band members that are going to be there today, like they are very experienced, but they're going to meet for the first time. They're going to find out who they're playing with for the first time today.
All right, fantastic. And what does the future hold?
The future is, well, International Jazz Day. We're doing our part. So we're having celebrations at Constitutional Hill today, starting at 12 o'clock. And the future, what we're looking for is leading to big festivals for It Has to Be Jazz, where we get as many young jazz musicians and give them that platform to shine. And in future also, obviously, more albums, more books to come, because it's very important that we document this history.
All right, fantastic. A great piece of history it is. Founder and project manager of It Has to Be Jazz, Tshepo Maseko, speaking to us about the initiative, which sees a group of jazz musicians who've never met gathering in a studio to jam and record together. 6 albums and 2 books later. Phenomenal work. Well, it's time for us to take a quick